Today in Conversations That Convert, we're going to be talking about how to stop getting skipped and how AI is reshaping the building industry.
Welcome to Conversations That Convert. Each week, Rick teams up with industry experts to tackle practical strategies in lead generation, marketing, and sales for remodelers, home improvement companies, and custom builders. From practical tips to deep industry insights, we cover everything you need to grow a stronger, smarter business. Brought to you by Builder Lead Converter, your perfect sales assistant.
Hey everyone, welcome to Conversations That Convert. Drew, welcome back to the show. Glad you could join us.
Hello, Rick. Yeah, thank you for having me. Welcome back to all our viewers as well.
So we are discussing today a topic that is front and center in the industry, and it is how to stop getting skipped, how AI search is reshaping the building industry. Drew, things have turned on their head in the last 12 months. And what we want to talk about today is how to be the builder Google and ChatGPT recommend. We've put together a program for this. In fact, we've done a webinar and a workshop on this where we look at what are the factors that go into being visible on an AI recommendation. And so we came up with 6 different criteria. I should say 5, one of which was a case study of one of our clients and what we've done to help them. But today we're going to walk through 5 of these steps, which is website development, search visibility, lead capture, and then ongoing performance. And I guess I think we were discussing this earlier this week. 2 years ago, we had one person to build websites. The person could design them, they could develop them, they could optimize them for basic SEO and search. And then they would be doing basic updates as we go. Today, we have 4 people that now we need. So we have a specific website designer. We have a specific website developer. Then we have a SEO team, and which also optimizes for IO, I should say, or artificial information or artificial intelligence optimization. And then AEO, which is artificial engine optimization. And then GEO, which stands for generative engine optimization. So we've got all these different specialists. And then once it's built, then we have to have another specialist that actually is just in charge of performance maintenance and making sure that the site is still performing. Because if it's not performing, it gets dropped in rankings and no longer gets cited from AI. So man, that's a lot, right? It doesn't get less complicated as time goes forward. It gets more complicated. And then you're trying to keep up with what's Google doing and what is OpenAI doing and what's Claude doing. And now recently you told me within the last 2 weeks, ChatGPT made a pretty big announcement of which we will be participating. But what's going on there?
Indeed, they have launched a new type of service, which is the ChatGPT ads. So they're looking for new ways to produce leads for people that are going to use this type of services, of course.
Right? They got to make the money. Yes. So what started as a nonprofit, in case you didn't realize that was the court case that Elon Musk sued and lost, which was OpenAI started as a nonprofit. They now became profitable, but they really don't have a revenue engine. And so if you remember back in the days of Meta, actually, or I should say Facebook, before they acquired Instagram, Facebook for a long time, it was just you're communicating with your friends on Facebook, right? And then there was no ads. And now, of course, they added ads, and that's where a lot of the revenue came from. And that's also where a lot of their downfall happened. So it is to be determined what's going to happen with ChatGPT now that they're running ads. So we signed up for and we're accepted to run ads on beta. So they have a beta ads manager. We're going to be testing it out first from a business to business standpoint. And then if everything goes well there and we kind of get our feet underneath us, we will be bringing it to our home builder and remodeling clients that they want to advertise there. And we'll find out, if it's going to be effective, how it's going to work. Let's hope they don't screw it up like Facebook did. But I have a feeling, with greed being the primary motivation with a lot of these investors and shareholders, it's going to screw it up some way, shape, or form. But the interesting thing is, when it comes to AI, Drew, is that, now we've got Gemini, which has a 0-click search summary. So Gemini 0, it's called, which a lot of people are using. I'm sure a lot of people listening are using it. I'm using it. So you go and you do your traditional search, but instead of looking at the blue links, which are the organic search results on page 1, now we're looking at the AI summary. So that's part of what's called Google 0. So I asked you the question today. I said, hey, well, do you think Gemini is going to start putting ads in there? But what's your thoughts there?
It's an interesting question. I guess Google does have the infrastructure to do that. Most probably, they also have the data to use it for. And we're seeing a huge fight, I guess, between ChatGPT and Gemini into how regular people are using the AI platforms. To answer your question, I am expecting in the future of time to probably see some news also from Gemini to introduce some new stuff as well.
They're not going to miss out on the potential gold mine, right? It's just going to be, I think the reason right now people like the summary is because they feel like it's like a recommendation from a friend, right? Because you're saying, hey, here's 3 different answers to this question, and here's the citations of where you can get more information. But it feels very organic, and obviously it's got a very high what's the word I'm looking for, application, or there's like 7. If you look at just home buyers, people that are remodeling their home, that are choosing home builders, it's already north of 75% of people that are using 0-click search summaries with their searches and looking for recommendations for a builder or remodeler. So it's got a very high application rate. Again, if ads show up there, it's going to change things dramatically. What I really like about right now with what we've seen with AI so far is that you can be a small volume builder, home builder, remodeler. And historically, like in your market, it's whoever has the biggest ad budget wins. And now with AI visibility and organic, is like if you do the right things, you can show up in these recommendations and these citations, and you can actually beat your competitors that are spending thousands of dollars each month on ads. So that's the cool thing what I like about it, but it's changing so quickly. As we see stuff, it's like, it's almost weekly that it is changing. So I think today what we wanted to talk about is like what we know right now. Now we're in June of 2026. So, keep that in mind, what we know right now. What can a builder do, home builder, remodeler, anybody in the home services area? What can you do to be recommended on that 0-click search summary or that generative engine summary, which would be like a ChatGPT or a Claude or a Grok or Gemini, for when you're doing a true Gemini search. But what can you do to actually show up and not be invisible? Because quite frankly, what's happening is that the search for a builder or for information on building is starting, it's not on websites anymore. It's starting in that conversation with the chatbot or in that 0-click search summary. So as we discussed before, historically, you do a search, you have your results, and if it's a local search, you'll see your local map search results, you'll see your sponsored results, and then you'll see your organic results. The organic results were always the most trusted results because they typically had the most relevant information to your search, right?
Yep.
So now we do this search and we're just clicking over to AI mode. And now AI mode is taking all that information organically and putting it together for us, and then putting the citations there, which are essentially the old blue links that showed up on page 1 of the organic search results. Now they're a little tiny citation that you click on, and then it will show you, hey, here's how they got the information to give you your. So let's talk more about that. And I think today we are going to start with website design for AI visibility. A lot of people don't think about this, but just because when you design a website, you're designing not just for the user, but also now for AI visibility. So we're going to walk through a few of the things that we have noticed and try to provide a little bit of insight. So Drew, let's start with EEAT and why that is so important for getting AI visibility. Can you explain what EEAT is?
Yes, EEAT, basically it's an acronym. It stands for Experience, Expertise, Authoritative,
Authoritativeness.
Yes, and trust. Exactly. And basically what this means it's that you need to think about how homeowners are really looking for when they visit the website, because contrary to the popular belief, they're not evaluating the website the way a designer does it. They're evaluating whether they can trust you. And I think about it basically, because they're not just buying construction services. Start with experience. They want proof that you've done this before. They want to see completed projects. They want to see before and after photos or case studies. And basically, they need to answer a specific question, which is, have these builders successfully completed projects like mine before?
Yeah, I used to call that, in sales, we'd call that believability.
Mhm.
Because if I have a buyer that walks in, let's say they want to do a $150,000 kitchen. Well, if I have a website and I'm only showing bathrooms on my website, but I say, oh yeah, we can do kitchens too, but I don't show it, they question it.
Yeah, of course.
Now, if I'm a remodeler and I'm showing $300,000 whole home renovations or additions where a bathroom and a kitchen are part of it, and I have a lead and they're $150,000 kitchen client, they immediately believe that I can do a $150,000 kitchen because I have proof. I have social proof. I have visual proof. And like you said, the case studies, I have a client that said, hey, you did this great renovation for me, or kitchen, bathroom, addition, whatever it is, turned out wonderful. So believability is huge when it comes to proving your experience, right? And I know that's always a challenge if you've only been in business for a short period of time, or we have several clients right now that are started like doing different projects, like handyman projects, and now they're graduating more into larger renovation projects. It's tricky to kind of create that, at least that perception of experience, so that when that lead lands on the website, they believe that, yes, you can do this project. Because if they don't believe it, they're not going to start a relationship with you.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And basically, after you show up the experience, next comes the expertise. And this is where the content you create matters a lot. Because you need to explain the process. You need to explain the costs, the timelines. And basically, anyone can say they're an expert, right? But experts, they do something else. They teach. They educate oftenly, and that's how builders can earn more trust. And of course, there's also authoritativeness.
That's right. That's kind of the hard one to say. We'll talk a little bit more about that too.
Yes, and this is mostly about the reputation. What do others say about you? And you can display this through reviews, through testimonials, of course, through awards. To be more specific, authority isn't what you say about yourself, is what others say about you. And of course, the last one, and as important as the others, it will be the trust, which is the result of everything that we've mentioned the above working together. Because a homeowner will see your project, they will read the testimonials or the reviews. So basically, they are consuming the content, and they're getting answers to their questions. And of course, by doing this, gradually they begin to feel confident, but not confident in the website specifically, but more confident into hiring you. And that's the main goal, because at the end of the day, homeowners are not choosing the best looking website. They are choosing the brand or the builder that they trust the most.
Yeah, I liken it to, you've seen the high wire act, right? Where the guy's walking the tightrope and he's got the whatever the pole he's carrying to help him balance. And like, so when you design a website, you're balancing between having a great user experience and put, EEAT, so experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, so that the lead, most importantly, remember, we're trying to not be eliminated, because they're shopping by process of elimination. So we've got to have those trust signals on there to show our experience, our expertise, and our authoritativeness. But at the same time, we're also designing it for the AI. So the AI can quickly scan and find information on there that will signal to the AI, hey, this guy also has a lot of experience in remodeling or custom building. They have the expertise, they have the authoritativeness, and they have trust as well. So here we are, we're doing this high wire act, and we can't go too heavy on the AI side, and we can't go too heavy on the UX side. It's got to be balanced so it appeals to both. All right, so let's jump into website design a little bit more. I think so. What we want to start with, I think, when it comes to design, is you need to understand what are the most viewed pages. What's the most viewed content that your leads are looking for? Because the reason this is important to track is because whatever your leads are looking for, the human side of it, that's what they're going to be asking the AI on the AI side of it. That's the search terms they're going to be using. And as we get into deeper dive, as we get into more search visibility and we talk about specifics, is that the leads now are having much more conversational searches. So it's not just, remodeler in name your city or kitchen remodeler name your city, but it's much more of a conversational search. But yet the AI is still really focusing on keywords when it comes to content. So what we find for, if we're looking at like remodeling website, is that number one, it's project photos, it's services you provide. So the first thing they're trying to figure out is, do you provide the type of remodeling project that they're looking for? So again, bathroom, kitchen, addition, garage, et cetera. And the reason it's important to understand is that I think a lot of builders make the mistake is they think that when a lead starts their journey to either build a custom home or remodel their home, builders think that that their leads are looking for a builder first. What we find, what the data tells us, is it's not that at all. They first and foremost are trying to answer the question, so in other words, they have an idea of what they want their project to look like, but they can't visualize it. And so they're looking for design elements. So the reason that the remodelers, they go to your service pages first is because they want to be inspired, going back to what Drew, you were talking about, having that expertise, having that experience so that you can create that believability. They want to see your past projects because they're looking for design inspiration. Now for custom home builders or home builders, again, they're looking for floor plans. They're looking for photo gallery, to be inspired. They're looking for a specific architectural motif. The higher the price point that you serve from a design build standpoint, the more specific that design elements are looking for. So you want to make sure, it's part of your design, is that you're showcasing your floor plans, also what we call our showcase homes or our available homes, so that contextually people can see what I can build. And then the next natural question is, how much does it cost? So Drew, anything you want to add there?
I would add that the website should definitely remove fear overall, because that's what really the homeowners are buying. They're buying certainty. They are worrying about that. They aren't necessarily worried about finding a contractor, because they can see through the searches that there are a lot of people out there. They are worried more about hiring the wrong contractor. Mm-hmm. So that's why every page of the website should reduce fear by showing the visitors what your process looks like, what the timelines look like, what success looks like.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, is that, where builders really make a mistake, and if you're a builder listening to this, I want to tell you, here's a phrase that you absolutely want to remove from your vocabulary. You're not comparing apples to apples. Builders get way too bogged down in the details, the sticks and bricks. That is not what your leads are buying. They're buying the results. Now, what results are they looking for should be your next question. They're buying a lifestyle. In other words, there's something that they are unable to do in their current home from a lifestyle standpoint. And they want to either remodel their current home or build a custom home so that they can get the results of the lifestyle they're after. So in psychographics, we call that a hope for lifestyle. That's what they're dreaming about. They're looking for you to solve their problem. So if your website is too detailed with information, it gets too detailed into the sticks and bricks, you're going to confuse them, and confusion causes a bounce. So a bounce is simply somebody who just eliminates you just because it was a negative user experience. That is very, very important. Yeah, you're right. It's the fear. We have in our designs, we have a one-click rule. In other words, we want them to be able to get to the information they're looking for in one click from the homepage. Anything more than that, I'm going to create confusion, I'm going to create frustration, and I'm going to lose that particular opportunity. So first and foremost, go to your Google Analytics, understand what are your most visited pages. We talked about remodeling and services pages. We talked about home building. It's going to be your available homes. It's going to be your floor plan pages. A big one is you talk about trust and fear. Drew, you brought it up for remodeling more than home builders is your About Us page. They want to know you. They want to know your team. They want to see reviews from your customers. The case studies are great if you can get them, but keep in mind a Google review that is aggregated to your page is even more powerful than just a written review that you got from an email from one of your leads and you just happen to throw it on your page, because people look at that and say, well, it's not verified. Whereas if I go and I have a Google business review or a house profile review, it's verified. All right. And it's a third party that is helping you create that trust, as you talked about before. It's not just what you say, it's what other people say about you. I think it's imperative. Again, you got to track the data and you just let your leads guide you as to what is the most important content on your page. And then there's a certain structure that we put together. Again, so just a little tip here for design is that we read top to bottom, left to right. So obviously you want to keep the most important things on the top of the page and on the left-hand side of the page. And as you go farther right and down below, it becomes less and less important. So we also use a tool called Microsoft Clarity, right? Which kind of helps us with heat mapping once they get on the site. All right, so let's talk a little bit more. Let's wrap up here a little bit and talk about some of the basics when it comes to visual. I know we're big on persistent logo navigation. So what that means is when that leads on your website, no matter where they are on your website, they're going to see your logo. And Drew, where do you normally recommend you put the logo?
Of course, the logo should be displayed into the menu. That's on the top of the each page, basically on the header on the left side. We've seen a lot of data that if it's on the left side, it will be more visible than if it's centered, or of course, right sided.
Yep. And we top left, most of your navigation bars today float, but you should make sure the bar floats. So what that means is as you scroll, you're going to always see that particular logo. Colors. Let's talk a little bit about colors. It bores me to tears, but I know it is important. How many colors do we recommend that maybe you would have on your website without it being too busy?
I would recommend using 2 colors, but 3 colors is also okay. More than 3, it will create a lot of confusion, and there's too much of everything.
Yep. And then I guess last one, typography. What is the most important thing about the font that you use on the website?
That it's very easy to read it, and you need to keep in mind that the visitors can vary on their age, and the easier the font is, the more readiness it has, the better it is overall.
Yeah, so 16 point font at a minimum we recommend for the body. Obviously, headlines, subheadlines are going to be larger that, but you never want to squint, and it never, you want to really be careful of the type of font that you're using. Anything that's hard to read.
And also I would suggest also of using maximum 2 fonts, one for headlines and another font for usual paragraphs.
Yep, good point. Your most valuable real estate is in your nav bar. So we recommend, try to keep that maybe to 5 or 6 main items. Now you can do subheadings. We do something called a mega menu, which is kind of cool, but you want to keep it very clean for the visitor, excuse me. High visibility call to actions. Again, that's important. What's the point of a website if you can't capture a lead from it? Websites need to be interactive, and you need to give an offer, and preferably multiple offers to your leads. Meet them where they're at. So if they're ready to call you, we have a click to call phone number. on the masthead. So that's typically used in mobile. But if they're not ready to call you, a live chat. We recommend having an AI live chat that's trained to be able to answer basic questions, be able to set appointments. And then other lead magnets, such for pricing, for design, for being able to schedule a call with your calendar. All of that should be very interactive. And then mobile, I guess to wrap up for today, mobile is huge. A lot of guys, they just look at their website from a desktop standpoint and they don't pay attention to mobile. But why is it so important, Drew, to pay attention to the mobile layout of your website?
Yeah, I would strongly suggest to have the mobile focused as first device, because people are using mobile in more places and much regularly comparing with the desktop. So they will definitely use the mobile phone, and you need to make sure that it's being optimized for mobile.
Especially if you're running ads, right? I mean, you're going to have north of 60% of your visitors are coming on mobile. So you normally look at your website on your desktop and you say, hey, it looks great, but it's underperforming, doesn't look good on mobile. You're just wasting a lot of opportunities there. And then I guess don't forget your trust signals, right? Get your professional associations on there. Make sure you're aggregating your Google business reviews on there. Make sure you have a process for getting consistent reviews from your clients to your Google business profile, and then ultimately aggregating them on your website. That comes back to those trust signals. That's that social proof. Real project photography is very important too. Don't use iPhone pictures. Hire a professional photographer. Make sure the images, and we'll talk about this in development, which is optimizing the images so you don't have a slow loading website as well. Final thoughts on anything on design here, Drew, before we wrap up this episode?
I would just include one mention regarding the homepage, because it's also the first page people are visiting on a website. So you need to keep in mind that the homepage has only one job to have, which is to help visitors quickly understand what you do, where you do it, and what they should do next.
I like it. Yep. And that's obviously, we do a lot of that with our H1 and H2 headings. Again, they got to land right away and they got to know, what you do, who you are, where you do it. And if they can't answer those questions, boom, they're gone. They're going to look at one of your competitors. Yeah, good point. So if you'd like to know more about how we, again, optimize builders' websites for AI visibility, you can schedule your strategy call today. We'll show you how we attract, capture, and convert high-quality leads for our builder partners. You'll be talking to me. And our goal, again, with any of our builder partners is so that you can pick and choose your clients and jobs. For my brothers and sisters in Christ, may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you all always. We